Hey there, this is Malorian, and we're down now to Game 6, the last game of Cry Havoc. It's now at 3,000 points, so it's the full list. Basically, for me, I'm now going to add a unit of Thunderers, and also a little Dragon Slayer, and also a unit of Hammerers. So really nice rounded Dwarf list, but man, this is going to be a big game. Now, up until this point, I had the one loss there, but I had a lot of big wins. I actually messed up one of the ones before. One of them was a major win rather than a massacre. But looking at it, the Bretonian player, Jordan, that I played and lost to in Game 3, has been doing very well. But in the last game, he just got a minor win, which kind of held him back. So all of a sudden, looking at all the matchups, people are wondering who's going to be where. And a lot of people thought, like, I wasn't up there at all. It wasn't until I kind of told them that I have 40 points. I have a lot of points right now, 40 out of the possible 50, that I'm up there as well. So if I can get a big win here, I have a shot at winning best general, best overall, whatever, right? So it's really important that I do very well, and he does a little bit less than well, and he's going to be up against a demon army with a demon prince, and pretty nasty one too, so my chances are there. Now, there's something else big about this game, and that's this guy, Corey, that I'll be playing. Now, I played him, I don't know, probably a couple of years ago, and in that one there, he was running ogres, I was doing my orcs, and basically, Foot of Gork killed him first turn, and it wasn't like kind of a non-match. Now, at the time, I thought he was kind of pissed off and all these things. Well, it turned out later that he's just kind of like that. He gets in the game, and he's very serious, and that's because he's a big-time player that goes to the States and plays in all these tournaments, and normally wins all these different tournaments. So I was thinking, man, like I want to have a rematch against this guy and see what happens. And guess what? This is going to be a rematch against him. He's brought vampire counts this time, and looking forward to seeing how it goes. Now, again, this is important because I need to do well, because if I do really well, I could win the tournament. And secondly, I'd like to do well just because, hey, if you're going to be up against somebody who's a kind of a big name, you kind of want to beat them. Now, the mission here is called the Mastermind. Basically, one of your characters has to become the Mastermind, and for me, it has to be the Rune Lord. And they get some things where they're going to be now stubborn, they're going to be leadership 10, they get +1 to their ward save to a max of 10, they get lookout sort of rolls against, you know, Dread 13th and Purple Sun, stuff like that. But the big thing here is if he ever dies, he's worth double victory points. Now, the actual game is going to be meeting engagement, and this guy here, your mastermind, can't start within a foot of any of the board edges. So that's not good for me because a lot of these bonuses do absolutely nothing for me except I'm pushed forward more towards him. So that's a little bit scary. The little bonus objectives here they're going for as well. And sorry, another thing to say as well is that with this, everybody fights. Everybody's going to be on the board. You don't roll to see if anybody gets a 1. And if there's anybody that is normally like my miners or something like that that's ambushers, they get the scout rule instead. So no sneaky miner hide for me. Either way, the bonus objectives is to have the 2 masterminds fight in a challenge. That's not going to happen. I have a Rune Lord. He has a Master Necromancer. It's not going to happen. Next one is you have to pass 5 leadership tests using the Mastermind's leadership. Could happen. And another one here is deploy the Mastermind in his unit first, which kind of breaks the normal thing where you're not allowed to. But yeah, it's going to be a big challenge, and let's see what happens.
It's battle time.
Alright, so looking at his army here, this is his main bunker in the back. He has a great looking army with a lot of neat unit fillers and all these things, but this is where he has a lot of characters. So the kind of undead Night Goblin guy on the far right, that's his mastermind. That's the guy I'd love to kill. In here he also has a White King, that's the guy second from the right, and I believe 2 other characters. You can see the one on the far left in the red. I'm not sure if there was another level 4 or whatever. Basically, there's just 3 casters here, and they all have the lore of vampires, all set up to do a lot of raising. Looking back here and what his army is, going kind of from the left to the right, you can, well, all together really, you can see how he has 2 big units of the Cryptors. He has the Wraith there on the bottom left, the Hex Wraiths. Then he has a big Ghoul Horde. He has a Mortis Engine, Corpse Cart, a couple more small units of, well, one of zombies, no, they're both zombies, a few units of dogs, and 2 Terrorgeists. He also put some dogs back here just because, hey, I have scouts apparently, and he didn't want me to be putting my miners back behind his lines. Overall, it looks like this, and one of the things that was really perfect is I won the choice of side. So I wanted to get this side over here because if my Rune Lord has to be further up, I wanted to have some sort of building that would help defend me. And so this building placement was perfect for that. Really, with the back and forth, I was trying to cover from wherever he was going to go. I mean, really, he could out-deploy me because he has all the dogs. So I had to place down 3 big units first. But I really thought he was going to be swinging around the top. Now, another thing is we're going to be treating that thing there in the center as impassable. He was really nice. He basically said, hey, you get to say what everything is. He didn't really care. I think he actually knows that going into this that I do have the advantage. I mean, here he has a lot of points in these Terrorgeists. Meanwhile, I'm a high leadership army with lots of shooting. So the points there are pretty much useless. He probably also thinks I have flaming cannons to deal with his Cryptors. However, the big danger to him will be, again, that flaming BSB in the unit of the Great Weapons, which is inside that house right now. So after all this whole back and forth deployment was done, you can see my miners scouted to where they are on the right. And my real plan here is to, well, now that I see where he put everything, to kind of stop anything coming from the right with the Quarrelers. The miners will go up just as a token resistance and try and fight their way around. But obviously the real fight here will be in the bottom left, the more central part here, just the left of these gallows. Now what I want him to do is to come up, engage my shield, and then I'm going to be hitting his flank with those warriors with the great weapons and flaming. And overall, it should be a big grind. One of my biggest worries is those Hex Wraiths coming from the left flank, getting through, destroying war machines and all that. But yeah, let's see what happens. So I'm going to get first turn. He actually vanguarded, which we had to kind of forgot, and so we did it after. It was no big deal. But my Quarrelers shoot all but 1 dog from the right. On the left side, I reform my Quarrelers to ranks so that they can deal with the Hex Wraiths. I'm also going to be hitting the Hex Wraiths with the Anvil because it's magical attacks, and it's also going to slow them down, so that kind of really stops them in their tracks. Up there, I was able to kill one of the Terrorgeists and put a wound or 2 on the other one, but with his magic phase, he's just going to be healing it back up. So not too bad. One of the things I don't want to do too much is be pushing up too much with the Hammerers, because I really want him to come through and not think that there is much of a flanking threat. So they're kind of holding back, whereas that, the Miner and the little Slayer dude can go and try and hunt down that dog. So on his turn, he comes forward, and man, I do my best, but he is able to force through a Van Hels, and everything moves up again. So at first I was like, damn it, he got a lot closer than I wanted. I was hoping to shoot down some more toys before he got here. But I thought, you know what, this isn't so bad, because looking at this, I am in the perfect position for those warriors to come out and flank his Cryptors. I can shoot down whatever toys I want, and I'm also in a good spot where I can charge those Hex Wraiths and depending how the combat is, block the things that are there behind it. So again, looking like I'm in a fairly solid position here, even though we get off some magic that I didn't really like. So that's what I do. My warriors come out, and I use the Anvil to go to the flank. And at this point here, I'm actually wondering if I can crumble the whole unit and overrun into the Cryptors. So after everything's said and done, I was not able to do that. I did a good job, but I kind of overestimated how many wounds I could do to them. I mean, they got a lot of wounds. So one of the things I probably did here that was an accident is I put a lot of shooting into his Mortis engine when I really should have put it into his Terrorgeist just to kill it. And now I have to go and kind of eat the damage from this. So that was kind of dumb. The Thunderers had charged in, and, of course, I just kind of barely win, so I crumbled one. Otherwise, Corlers shot down another unit of dogs are trying to sneak around, and that's really it. On his turn here, he goes and he charges in with the Crypt Horrors. I'm hoping that, he won't have many attacks. I'll be steadfast for a little while. By that time, I should be able to finish off with the other Crypt Horrors, only 3 there, and come back. But the main thing that's annoying is that, that bat here that I couldn't stop, or I was foolish enough not to shoot, goes and charges into the cannon, and he's going to cause some havoc. After everything is said and done, it looks like this. Those Crypt Horrors are gone. He moved the zombies up to block me. He also got off a big raise that didn't really help me very much here. But yeah, the main thing is that he did kill enough of my Thunderers in order to lose my Steadfast, and then he was able to run off the table with the Crypt Horrors. That's not too bad. That means I don't need to deal with them for a while. But the biggest thing here is that that bat there, the Terrorgeist, was unable to kill all the cannon. Remember, you can't Thunder Stomp a War Machine, so I'm stubborn, I hold there, and now I can just deal with this Terrorgeist just by flanking it with the Spearmen and just keep on killing this stuff. So on my turn, I flanked the Terrorgeist, and I should be able just to beat him just by static combat res. Up at the top there, I went into the zombies, and the thing I really like here is that his ghouls, he had reformed before to face the right. He didn't want to move everything. That's why the ones are just moved on the far right there. But the greatest thing is that I should not be able to beat these zombies in one go. And then those ghouls will be stuck in place. So that's not so bad. And yeah, just looking forward to kill more dudes. So after everything is done, it looks like this. I was not able to beat the Terrorgeist completely. Yeah, just, when he did some Thunderstomps into me, he did not die. I believe he might have also been in range with the BSB, so he didn't crumble as much. So that wasn't as great. One of the things that was kind of foolish here is that it wasn't until after the combat started that I realized that, oh no, I was wrong, because I kind of reminded him, like, oh, you still have to move the rest of your models there. Well, the ghouls, he actually had changed his mind and were facing down. So that's an issue. And so what I did is when I was done beating up the zombies there, I actually reformed to be now facing to the left, so that when the ghouls inevitably come into my front there, it's the front and not the flank. Otherwise, my shooting went into the Mortis engine and destroyed it, so that's great. I believe it also killed a unit of dogs is over here too, so that's great. Something else I can mention too is that if you're wondering why the forest moved away, it was a blood forest, and yeah, we just kind of got out of the way, and now it's not an issue. Otherwise, I have a Slayer that's hunting down the last dog, and my Hammerers and Miners are moving up to kind of deal with those zombies at the top and protect myself in the center as well as needed. So on his turn here, he charges into my warriors with great weapons. In the long run, I'm not too worried about this unless he starts getting off some crazy magic. But for the most part, the thing I'd love to do is get over with my BSB to be killing with his magical weapon, those Hex Wraiths. But as it is, maybe I can just kill enough stuff so that they'll just crumble. On his turn, though, man, here comes the one magic phase that I really need to shut down so he can't do much. And I do a really great job. I even use my little Dispel rune thing. But at the end of the day, it gets through. And so not only is he going to be healing back, a Hex Wraith and a bunch of ghouls and all these things that I'd killed before with some war machines, but he's also going to heal up his Terrorgeist. So really close to stopping all that healing. But what can you do? So after the whole combat's done, it looks like this. He beats my warriors, but I am steadfast. Otherwise, at the bottom, still trying to kill this stupid Terrorgeist. Really wishing I would have shot it when I had the chance. And that's pretty much it. So on my turn, I get the Miners into the zombies at the top, the Hammerers into the flank of the zombies here, and that will just add tons of combat res and should make it so I easily win this combat. Up here, yeah, the Slayer kills this dog and, just gets the random little points here. And after everything's said and done, it looks like this. So the Terrorgeist is gone, but now I have to deal with these other Crypt Horrors. I was able to kill tons of those guys there. So at the end of Crumbling, the Hex Wraiths are gone, the zombies are gone, and, looking at what it is here, these ghouls are not long for this world either. So on his turn, his Crypt Horrors come into my warriors. And over here, he goes to try and cast one of his spells here. I can't really remember which one it is with the template, but he basically misfires and it's going to go into a random direction. And it does actually kill quite a few of my hammers. It could have been a lot worse if it would have gone through both units, but basically just went up slightly, so it hit just the ghouls and the hammerers, and then kind of traveled to the other side. But kind of funny when, like misfires kind of do what you want anyway. And at the end of everything, it looks like this, and it's looking good. Ghouls are dead. My warriors with shields held, and he put those dogs there to thread my war machines, but really they're just going to be a springboard to get into the flank of his Crypt Horrors. So that's what I do. I kill the dogs. I go into the flank of the Crypt Horrors, and it's the whole greatness again. I got the flaming attacks on the BSB there, and now I'm just trying to grind these guys down. And so at this point, I need to decide what to do, and I crushed the zombies at the top. This game is basically over, and so I could be shooting things at that bunker, but, really at this point, there's really no point to add insult to injury, and the only risk is going to be having one of my war machines explode. So I basically just back up my miners and, just kind of wait for the game to be over. But the game is not over. He charges in the bunker into the flank of my hammers, or not the hammers, my warriors with great weapons. And at this point, I am just kicking myself because of how this could have been avoided so easily. And now he's going to have so much combat res in here. And, he even goes and casts some spell. I can't remember what it is, but he gets an irresistible force, gets the detonation, which doesn't even kill his guy, and that goes and kills tons of my guys as well. And after everything is said and done, I break with both units because I'm not going to be steadfast against all these zombies, and I give up the points from both those warrior units, and that's really how the game ends. So, well, apart from here, I'm not going to give them another chance. So the hammer is coming to the rear of these guys just to kind of lock them in place. But, yeah, that's the game. Well, at the end of the game there, my opponent said, you know what, that's pretty much it. It's still a massacre. And I said, whoa, wait a second. I bet you it's not. And, we went through, we did the math, and at the end, it was just a minor victory. So instead of getting the big 10 points I could have got, I got 6. So ending up with 46 points. And it's just one of those things where at the end I was like, because I had total dominance of the game. Everything I was trying to do was coming together, and it was running just the way I wanted. And then at the very end there, just screwed it up. And it must have been annoying for my opponent there because I was just absolutely kicking myself. And he's probably thinking like, man, dude, you won. Shut up. But and I was talking to one of the tournament organizers after, James, and he was saying, man, when you got your foot on the throat of the enemy, you do not take it off until the game is over. And that really what it was. I was playing a flawless game up until that point, and then I decided, you know what, let's just coast to the win. And by doing that, I just tossed away a massacre win and turned it back down to a little minor win, which would have, if I got the massacre, I'd been like, wow, I pretty much got this in the game. Now I had to go over and watch Jordan's game to kind of see how that one would end to finish the whole thing off. So, I couldn't believe it. To be fair, though, this was definitely not a game where I could say, haha, I beat Corey. I'm better than this guy that's, this renowned player and all these things, because this was really a paper, rock, scissors matchup where I had the tools to beat him. Here he is with these Terrorgeists. Well, that's great. I'll just go and I'll shoot them down. If there wasn't for that one misplay where I shot at the Mortis engine rather than that Terrorgeist, he wouldn't have had much going from whatsoever. And it really is just a thing again where I just had the rock to his scissor, right? Terrorgeist and Mortis Engine, I have the war machines, right? He's a vampire army based all off raising and magic. Well, I'm the dwarf anti-magic, setup. It couldn't even have been worse, but with this, he almost got nothing off all game when his list is based off of, spamming raising and getting his Cryptors going all the time. And I just shut that down, you know. Also as well, he's got guys based off of regen and these Cryptors. Well, I got this little BSB with this little flaming weapon. It just goes ding, and the whole unit loses the regen. So it really isn't something where I can say I really beat him fair and square, so we'll have to have another game sometime later where it's even. But after this, I'm going to be doing a video talking about where I placed, what I thought of my army, how I thought about the tournament, and we'll see you then. So thanks for watching, and one last time, okay, bye.